And now WJZ's Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely.
Well, good evening and thank you for tuning in. This is Purple Connection. I'm Alex Glaze, joined by Rick Ritter. Rick, an exciting overtime win for the Ravens.
I'll tell you what, every week we think a Ravens game can't get any crazier. Look at the Kansas City game to open the season. We said, oh, that's going to be the best game of the year. Then you got last week, and then you got this past week. I mean, this team, what else can you say? Resilient.
I mean, I just need to find something to keep my heart rate down because it's definitely getting elevated as we watch these games. But we have a packed show coming up for you tonight. We have Rob Long of 105.7's Big Bad Morning Show checking in with us in just a few minutes. And Gianna Hahn of the Baltimore Banner also joining the show. But let's get right to this. The Ravens in Cincinnati facing the Bengals, a Bengals team desperate for a win. A team Lamar Jackson loves to play. Going into the game, Lamar had an 8-1 career record against the Bengals as the starting quarterback. But Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense didn't make this one easy. Burrow, a career day, 392 passing yards and 5 touchdowns. But Lamar Jackson showed up as well. Lamar and the Ravens down double digits in the fourth quarter. Lamar makes magic happen, brings the Ravens within a field goal. And then the defense gets the stop that they desperately needed. Marlon Humphrey comes up with an interception, and then Justin Tucker, who struggled at some point throughout the season, knocks down a 56-yard field goal into the wind to send this game to overtime, and then wins the game for the Ravens with a chip shot. An incredible game. And Lamar Jackson, a 2-time MVP, played absolutely out of his mind down the stretch to lead the Ravens to the win, leaving some teammates like Derrick Henry speechless.
That was like third MVP level for him. That was like that one of a kind of game. Just especially the one where he was getting sacked, got out the pocket, kept running down, almost got out of bounds, threw that ball back to Zay. That was just, that's why Lamar is who Lamar is and best player in the league. He's a GOAT for a reason.
And joining us now, we got Rob Long from 105.7 The Fan. Rob, what can we say about Lamar Jackson that hasn't already been said? Just another incredible game, especially in that fourth quarter from Lamar.
I like after the game, and Derrick Henry says he's the best quarterback in the game. And the CBS broadcaster, Nate Burleson, said he repeated what Derrick Henry said after the interview and asked, did he lie? You talk about 390 yards passing. Lamar Jackson goes out there, has 400 yards of total offense and 4 touchdowns. He impacts the games in ways that other quarterbacks can't. I laugh when people compare Lamar to others. Okay, go ahead, but give me one like Lamar. Jaden Daniels is a rookie that comes in the league, and he has some of the same skill set. But due to things that Lamar actually does, I mean, some of the things that he does, we kind of take for granted, but is measured as greatness for everybody else.
I was going to say, Rob, I mean, look, we spoke about it last week. We knew going into this game you were going to get a Cincinnati defense that was going to do everything they could to stop the run, stack the box, and dare you to beat them on the outside. To me, this is a win-win because you got 2 things in this game. One, you showed them you can still run the ball when you stack the box. It doesn't matter who's out there. Mm-hmm. And also, 2, when this team comes from behind or needs to come from behind, that they're able to do it. Lamar Jackson, I mean, 26 of 42, 348 yards, just what you saw from him in the passing game and how they were able to win that way as well.
He's dominated people with the running game. He's dominated people with the passing game. Hats off to Todd Monken because this is what I wanted to see. Could Todd Monken pivot from his original game plan when the opposing defense took it away from him? And he did. He looked like Georgia Todd Monken yesterday. Honestly, the game plan was masterful. He ran when he should have run. He threw when he had Cincinnati defense off balance all day. And on a day where your defense didn't show up to be its best, the offense carried them, put 41 points on the board in overtime and wins the game. That's what championship teams do. They beat you however they need to beat you.
Absolutely. Lamar climbing up those MVP rankings as well as,
Again, Alex.
Yeah.
Again.
And I don't think there's any doubt Lamar looking every bit like an MVP, when you consider what he means to this Ravens team. But, Rob, I want to ask you a question, too, because we've talked so much throughout this season already just about the fourth quarter collapses with the Ravens when it comes to the defense. But to see the Ravens down 10 with 5 minutes to go to come back and win that game, what does that tell you about where this Ravens team is right now mentally to be able to do that?
Guts. Resilience, gritty, just been there, done that before. As a coach, I always talk to my team about championship resumes, the things you do to put together, the things you put together on your path to winning a championship. And that is something that you put on your championship resume, because you go back later on in the season and you say, remember when we did this on the road against Cincinnati when Joe Burrow, that dude, was having a career day? Okay, we've done that before. So you put that on your championship resume. That was worthy of being put on that championship resume as the season goes on.
Rob, real quick, before we let you go, we talk about Lamar Jackson MVP. A guy on the other side of the field this week is also in that MVP conversation. Rookie quarterback Jaden Daniels and what he's been able to do in Washington, literally turning that franchise around. This week's matchup and just how exciting it is as a football fan to get two of the best going at it this early in the season.
Well, class is in session, Jaden. That's good. That's cute what you've been doing the first 5 games. That's real cute. But now let's see how the real man does it. You know what I mean? You want to know how it was really done? You're about to have 4 quarters, just like school, and we'll see what your grade is at the end of the game.
Ooh. Yeah, I mean, listen, the bank's going to be packed. I mean, this is the game of the week, right? I mean, I'm not just saying that because we're going to have it on WJZ, but this is literally the game of the week. There's a reason why CBS wanted to protect this game.
You might want to let Rob Long go in there and give the pregame talk.
You got the reigning MVP versus the guy who's right now leading the way in Rookie of the Year. Man, this is a game. 2 Heisman Trophy winners as well. Lamar Jackson going to beat 2 LSU quarterbacks 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah, as 2 guys who work for CBS over here, I'm laughing at all the fans who are like, come on, CBS, why didn't you flex this? I don't think so. You're not giving up.
It's business, man.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's business.
Absolutely.
Why would I want to get rid of that? Hey, listen, watching all these athletes, I'm at Exile Fitness now, so as soon as I'm done, I'm going to get my workout on.
Go get it. Always working, Rob Long.
We're going to let you get back to it, Rob. Thank you for joining us.
Have a good one, guys.
All right.
You too, brother.
And Rick, as we kind of wrap this up here for a second, before we go to break, I want to ask you just a quick question here.
Let's see. They might not let you.
Yep, there we go. There we go. So Joe Burrow going into this game said he had to play perfect to win this game. I mean, he played pretty perfect. What does this tell you about just where the Ravens stand as far as in the division? Because I think right now they're just in a class of their own. Mm-hmm. The Steelers aren't there. Browns not there. Bengals, that's as good of a game as you'll get from Joe Burrow and this Bengals team. Not good enough.
And look, you're going to see Cincinnati again. For everybody out there who didn't think Cincinnati was the real deal, they're the real deal. They can play with anybody in the league. Joe Burrow showed you that on Sunday. Jamar Chase showed you that. T. Higgins showed you that. But the Ravens, you're right. They're just in a different category right now. Gritty, Rob Long used that word. What they've been through just 5 games of the season. This team, unlike previous years, when they get down, I have confidence now that there's no problem with them coming back.
Absolutely. And one of the big reasons why they've been able to have that success is Derrick Henry, the running back. We're going to talk about Henry and his career day yesterday against the Bengals, crossing an elite milestone and entering rare air when it comes to running backs. We've got Gianna Hahn of the Baltimore Banner joining us on the other side of the break. Stay with us.
WJZ's Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely. WJZ's Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely.
And welcome back to Purple Connection. I'm Alex Glaze. He's Rick Ritter. And we got Gianna Hahn of the Baltimore Banner joining us now. Gianna, thank you for joining us.
Of course, not fresh off, but shortly off a plane from Cincinnati.
That's a quick flight. That's a quick flight. You're all right. Listen, it was a big game for the Ravens, but something that's kind of being overlooked in all the excitement of yesterday, Derrick Henry reaching a milestone that is just putting him in that Hall of Fame class that we're talking about now. 10,000 career rushing yards, something now only 32 NFL running backs have been able to achieve. He's the first running back since 2017 to reach this mark. You were at the game. You spoke to Henry after the game. Just how is he feeling about entering such rare air when it comes to running backs?
You know, Henry is a guy who's always going to keep it humble. And so I think, you know, he had the expected reaction. He just talked about how he watched all these running backs, he looked up to them, and now he is a part of that. I thought some of the really cool moments were talking to the linemen because they got to be a part of that history. And, you know, like Roger Rosengarten, rookie in his, 5th NFL game, got to check how much action he has, but he's blocking as Henry makes his way to 10,000. But obviously, amazing. You mentioned Hall of Fame. Out of the 4 other guys, because the other big stat is he's now one of 5 players to make it to 10,000 rushing yards and 100 rushing touchdowns within 125 games. 3 of those other 4 are Hall of Famers, and the other one is no one to scoff at. It's Adrian Peterson. So, yeah, I mean, he always just keeps it very humble. Everyone talks about how professional he is, but I'm sure it's also probably got to be a little hard to wrap your mind around in the middle of a season. But it's a crazy number, and I think the entire team is just thinks it's so cool to be a part of it.
Yeah, before we move on, though, I do have a question for you because he eclipsed 10,000 yards on kind of a mundane play, right? But it looked like he gave the ball back to the ref, and the game just kind of kept going on. Did he get the ball? Like, do we have any update on where the ball is?
That's a good question. I didn't go to the John Harbaugh press conference because I went straight to locker rooms. I don't know if they announced game balls. I should check that. But I would assume that someone figured it out because, I mean, I was there just doing the math. I knew it was 18 rushing yards, and every rush that he had, I was like adjusting the number in my article, just waiting for it to cross. So it wasn't that many yards. Everyone knew that it was going to happen this game. So I would think that he probably wasn't counting, but someone had to have been on the sidelines like, go get that ball. So we'll have to check in locker room on Wednesday.
All right, awesome. Well, now we're gonna play a little game. We call this big deal or no big deal. I'm gonna throw out a topic. You guys tell me if this is a big deal or no big deal. Rick, I'll start with you. Justin Tucker knocking down a 56-yard field goal. We've seen him miss from 50-plus twice so far this season. For Tucker to knock that kick down in the moment he did, big deal to you or no big deal?
Huge deal. Okay, you talk about psyche and the position that he plays in the NFL. There's no position that correlates more with that and more with self-confidence. For him to go what he's been through the first couple of weeks of the season, really, putting a lot on his back in terms of not delivering, and then they come through in those clutch moments, that's huge. That's the GOAT that we know. That's the GOAT that this team needs if they're going to try and make a Super Bowl run.
Gianna, we've heard John Harbaugh talk about the things that Tucker has been dealing with this season. To see him come through like that, big deal for you?
I agree, big deal. The other thing is, Harbaugh mentioned it was a technique thing. Yeah. I thought that meant that he had something wrong with his technique, but after talking to him yesterday, it sounds more like obviously he's been doing this forever. There wasn't something wrong with his technique that he needed to work on. It was more, as you mentioned, psyche, a mental lapse, because he said almost every kick he's doing it right, but just every now and then he would do something wrong in his technique. And so for the mental part of the game, I think that's big. Everyone was wondering if it was going to be his leg strength because he's getting old. Of course, he had that 68-yarder in training camp, so I don't think that's it. So it's got to be psyche, and he's kind of also a guy that likes to be humble and attribute it to his team. But I'm sure for him, that's got to be good to feel like, yeah, when the game's on the line, I still got it.
Absolutely. All right, now this is an interesting one here because I understand the era of NFL that we are in. Quarterbacks put up gaudy numbers, but for Joe Burrow to throw for almost 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, have a career day on this Ravens defense, Gianna, big deal or no big deal, Burrow putting up those gaudy numbers?
Big deal, I think, in a bad way, as a reverse to the Justin Tucker one, because I think it's made even more of a big deal that we expected the secondary to be one of the best in the entire league, if not the best. So the fact that they're just getting out-dueled, even when there's a lot of coverage problems in terms of communication, and maybe that's going back to, I don't know, having a new defensive coordinator or something like that. But other than that, I mean, other than Nate Wiggins, all these guys have played, and they've played together. Eddie Jackson's new, but he's not one of the top guys. They're Pro Bowlers. They're highly paid, and they should be able to win these balls. They should be knowing how to communicate about their coverages. So I know that they played them tight, according to Harbaugh today, but you got to win some of those 50-50 balls, because the more the other teams are seeing this, the more they're going to pick apart the secondary. I think they have 2 of the worst games this entire season in terms of passing yards they gave up. It was the 3rd worst this game and the 5th worst against the Cowboys, and that's just not really a top 5 that you want to be in.
Not great. Rick, I'm going to throw this last one out to you. I love kind of keeping an eye on social media, maybe reading into the tea leaves a little too much, but Devontae Adams set social media on fire last week. with 2 Edgar Allan Poe posts. You know, we know that Davante Adams has requested a trade. He's looking to get out of Vegas, and people are somewhat tying him to Baltimore. Big deal or no big deal? Are you buying into this these posts?
I think he wants to be here. Who would not want to come and play with Lamar Jackson right now and Derrick Henry and Zay Flowers and Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely? He wants to win this late in his career. The question is, does this team need him, which we spoke about last week, and how many balls are there to go around? This is a run-heavy first team. Is he okay coming here and just winning and maybe only getting 2 catches a game?
He wants to win. That's what he says. All right, we got Gianna Hahn here. Thank you so much for joining us, Gianna. Have a good one.
You too.
All right, and we are going to continue Purple Connection after this break. We're going to take a look around the league and do a league checkup. Stay with us.
WJZ's Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely. WJZ's Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely.
And welcome back to Purple Connection. Thank you for staying with us. Rick, I don't know if you know this, the Ravens, the only team in the AFC North to win yesterday.
No, I did not know that. How about that? That's good. Pittsburgh.
That's good. Let's check out these standings here, because right now, listen, the Ravens are at the top. You know, it's been the Steelers who were undefeated when they started out the season 3-0, now 3-2 after a tough loss to the Cowboys last night.
I'm telling you right now, again, we spoke about this last week. The Steelers will always have a chance with Mike Tomlin. Tough defense. The Browns, forget about them. The Cincinnati Bengals and the Ravens, those 2 teams will be vying for the division. Cincy may be 1-4 there, but I promise you they will be close with the Ravens as this season goes on and we get closer to the end.
Absolutely. All right, let's go to this league checkup now, because we're gonna talk more about the games that we kind of touched on a little bit. But last night, a big one. With Dak Prescott leading the Cowboys in a late comeback. Did you stay up for that game? Because I know it was a little,
No, come on.
Past your bedtime a little bit?
2 kids to get up in the morning? Yes. You're the youngster now.
I usually go to bed around like 9, believe it or not, if I'm not working.
Goodness.
But I did stay up to watch that one. Exciting game. It was kind of like watching paint dry a little bit. The opposite of the Ravens-Bengals game. That's what Steelers-Cowboys was, just no offense. And then the Texans, how about that? Beating the Bills with a walk-off 59-yard field goal.
They moved to 4-1. Houston, who has all that talent, C.J. Stroud building off of his rookie year. They go and add a couple of guys in free agency. You wonder, is he going to go through that sophomore slump, or does he take a step forward? It's a step forward. Houston, the real deal in the AFC, one of the teams the Ravens have to worry about.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Commanders, another team that the Ravens have to worry about, a team that's coming to Baltimore next week. We saw this Commanders team blow out the Browns yesterday. And when we come back, we're going to talk more about that matchup and break down somebody who our producer Danny's calling Lamar Jackson Jr.
Is he calling him that?
That's what he calls him. We'll see.
Around the halls here?
That's what he's saying. We'll see. We're going to talk about Jaden Daniels and the Commanders after this.
WJZ's Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely. WJZ's Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely.
Hey, welcome back to Purple Connection. Rick, we got a big game coming up on Sunday. The Washington Commanders, the 4-1 Washington Commanders, coming to Baltimore. You know their fans are going to bring it too, coming up the Beltway. A big game coming up on Sunday.
It's a big game. Again, 2 MVP frontrunners in my mind. It's Jaden Daniels versus Lamar Jackson. Look at what Washington did in the offseason. They go out there, they bring in some vets like Bobby Wagner and Austin Eckler to help turn this team around. You roll the dice with the youngster from LSU. You pick him that high in the draft. He has been everything and more and beyond that in terms of the quarterback they were hoping for. Lamar versus Jaden, I mean, football doesn't get much better than this, Alex.
I think there were a lot of questions about this Commanders team. People didn't know what to expect, especially when you're talking about all the offseason moves. They go out and they hire Dan Quinn, a guy who has had head coaching jobs before, has not had a ton of success, especially when you talk about developing quarterbacks. But then they go out and get Cliff Kingsbury as well. And you see what this Commanders offense has looked like. I mean, you combine that with how the Ravens defense looked against the Bengals, and I think maybe we can expect a high-scoring game on Sunday.
Look, I will tell you this. It's a good thing that every day they get to practice against Lamar Jackson. Because you need that practice to go against a guy like Jaden.
Absolutely. Well, here's John Harbaugh talking about Jaden Daniels, a rookie quarterback who has come into this league and looked like anything but a rookie.
Jaden Daniels is, heck, he's played, 5 games now? And he's been one of the best in the league for 5 games so far as a rookie. He plays different than Joe Burrow. Every quarterback plays their own unique way. Similarities, differences, there's always that part of it. But we just have to look at at him and how he fits into their offense and prepare for their offense as run by him. And that's a big challenge. I mean, we got our hands full with that, so that's how we look at it as a defense.
All right, Rick, as we wrap this show up, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit of early prediction here as we look ahead to this Commanders game. Is this a game that stands out to you as potentially an upset opportunity for the Ravens, who are favored?
Yeah, absolutely. The Commanders could very well come in here and win this game, but I don't think that happens. The way the Ravens are playing right now, it doesn't matter if they get down. This team is resilient. I think their worst football is behind them now. Yes, what Joe Burrow did to the secondary is concerning, but Washington doesn't have the weapons that Cincinnati had. I love the Ravens in this game.
Who sticks with Terry? Scary Terry.
Scary Terry's great. You ready for this? I'm putting Nate Wiggins
Nate
on
Wiggins?
Scary Terry. Yeah.
Nate Wiggins?
I'm not giving that job to Marlon.
No, I agree with you. We've got to put speed on speed. But listen, if you can't make it out to the game, of course, you can watch the game right here on WJZ. We will have the game.
We will have it. We're not giving it up.
We're not giving it up.
Nope.
Kickoff set for 1 o'clock if you are interested in tuning into what's got to be, I mean, the game of the weekend as far as the NFL. Like, that's the big one. And then you can start your NFL Sunday with us with the Purple pregame show.
I don't even know why you say you can start. They know where to start. They're starting with you and Q, getting you ready for the game. It's 11 a.m. streaming and 11:30 on air. Again, that's our Purple pregame show. Alex and Q, they're going to be live down at the stadium.
John Harbaugh says the team's healthy. Not a lot of concerns when it comes to injuries, which is obviously good news. We've had short injury reports going into these games. Ravens riding a 3-game win streak into this, coming back to the bank after that big win against Buffalo. I think I'm with you. I think the Ravens pull out a win. I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout. I think this is going to be a back-and-forth track meet kind of game, similar to the Bengals, but I think the Ravens are going to pull this one out.
It's exciting. As a fan, you enjoy it. We didn't talk enough about Lamar and the Houdini-type play that he had there at the end of the game. His connection with Isaiah Likely, I feel like we should get a shirt made that says, forget it, Isaiah's up there somewhere. Just turn around and chuck it up.
Wait, it doesn't matter which Zay. It's going to one of the Zays.
There you go. One of them will come down with it.
I think this is also going to come down. I don't think Jaden Daniels has faced a defense like this Ravens defense. Sorry, Danny.
Roquan Smith's a bad man.
So is Ajabo. So is Oweh. He's going to meet him. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in to Purple Connection. I'm Alex. He's Rick. We do this every Monday during football season. Thank you so much for watching. And we're getting ready for another Ravens game day, guys. See you throughout the week.